Remember some scientific racists that work for the government, racist LGBT people, edit my voice, change my voice in the videos. Proverbs 30, sayings of Agur, the sayings of Agur, son of Jacob, an inspired utterance. This man's utterance to Ithiel, I am wary God, but I can prevail. Surely I am only a brute, not a man. I do not have human understanding. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I attained to the knowledge of the Holy One. So the person is saying because he's not righteous, right? Wisdom as the fruit of the righteous, and righteousness as the fruit of the wise. So this person says he's just a brute, just a dog. He has not attained understanding. He doesn't understanding. He doesn't understand. He's a brute. He doesn't have what he calls human understanding. Okay, someone with their soul intact. Okay, with the Spirit of God. He has not learned wisdom, nor does he have knowledge of God. He says, nor have I attained to the knowledge of the Holy One. Listen very carefully. This part is very key. One of the most quoted parts, in my videos. Proverbs 34. Who has gone up to heaven and come down? Whose hands have gathered up the wind? Another version says, whose fists hold the wind? Who has wrapped up the waters in a cloak? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is the name of his son? Surely you know. It says, surely you people understand who the Son of God is. Okay, who has done marvelous things? Who has come into the Spirit and wrapped up the winds, right? The marshaling force of God. Okay, the righteous indignation, right? In Jeremiah, the whirlwinds swirling on the heads of the wicked. Okay, God advancing like the clouds, the wings of the wind, right? Who has traversed, who has gone up to heaven and come down, who has traversed with martial arts strikes, right? Who holds the wind in his fists, whose hands have gathered up the wind, who has wrapped up the water in a cloak, the living water of God in his zeal, right? In Isaiah it says that he wrapped himself in zeal as in a cloak. So who has gathered the marshaling force of God in his zeal for doing the right thing, enthusiastic about doing the right thing, okay, who has gone up to heaven and gone back down with universal pinpointing moral precision and focused moral intensity. There is no other logical way to interpret it. Some people will point to Elijah and say he went up in a whirlwind, but how? It's superimposed like a magician waving his wand, okay, doing a magic trick, and it's superimposed on focused moral intensity. If this isn't first and foremost focused moral intensity, then why did Jesus say he's the root and offspring of David and the bright morning star? And not Elijah. And David struck down Goliath. David was a warrior king. So it's first and foremost the marshaling force of God. What is his name, and what is the name of his son? Okay? Surely you know. Every word of God is flawless. He is a shield to those who take refuge in him. So it says that he's a shield, so it overkills. In the next verse that they're talking about martial arts, right? Hand-to-hand combat, war arts. He's a shield, right? You don't need an actual shield. It is the shield of the spirit, ability, nobility, and agility. And there's all kinds of other applications as well. Okay. Do not add to his words, or he will rebuke you and prove you a liar. I got to close the windows real quick because for no reason, there's a chirping noise. So it says, do not add to his words, right? Do not add to his words, or he will rebuke you and prove you a liar. Okay, it's the Word. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The marshaling force of God, the Spirit of God. So do not pretend that your theater arts spirit is his spirit, or he will rebuke you by his actions, his divine actions, and prove you a liar. Two things I ask of you, Lord. Do not refuse me before I die. Keep falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread. Otherwise, I may have too much and disown you and say, who is the Lord? Or I may become poor and steal and so dishonor the name of my God. Now, notice that this person, who's perceived to be a holy person, is concerned with becoming poor and committing crime, stealing. Okay, so what happens when you stigmatize a people and make them poorer than everyone else? I'm sure you can figure out who's right and wrong in that debate. Do not slander a servant to their master, or they will curse you, and you will pay for it. There are those who curse their fathers and do not bless their mothers, those who are pure in their own eyes and yet are not cleansed of their filth, those whose eyes are ever so haughty, whose glances are so disdainful. It's not a coincidence that this is in the same chapter as Proverbs 34. It's Proverbs 30. Okay, whose hands have gathered up the wind, right? Righteous indignation, flawless, a flawless spirit insisting on the highest cause, right? If it's not insisting on obeying God through me, it's not flawless. It's not the word of God. It's not God. It's the devil, the snake, seeking to cheat the most righteous person there. The only person who's truly in God's spirit at this time. And after I'm gone, no one will be in God's spirit. Those whose eyes are ever so haughty, whose glances are so disdainful. Those whose teeth are swords and whose jaws are set with knives to devour the poor from the earth and the needy from among mankind. So the teeth represent the words that are spoken and also the actions. Those whose actions are doing the devil's work, as opposed to my actions, which are doing God's work. The leech has two daughters. Give, give, they cry. There are three things that are never satisfied for, that never say enough. The grave, the barren womb, land, which is never satisfied with water, and fire, which never says enough. The consuming fire of God will burn people, and the smoke from their torment will rise forever and ever. And that's what it says in Isaiah 66. The eye that mocks a father, that scorns an aged mother, will be pecked out by the ravens of the valley, will be eaten by the vultures. There are three things that are too amazing for me, four that I do not understand: the way of an eagle in the sky, the way of a snake on a rock, the way of a ship on the high seas, and the way of a man with a young woman. So the eagle, again in Revelation, the way of an eagle in the sky, right? So glance, take but a glance at riches, and they will fly off like an eagle to the sky. Okay, so what happens to people who choose wealth? Okay, it basically, who choose wealth over God is basically taking my God. So again, I'm not a Christian. I actually despise the Bible. I do not like the people who wrote the Bible. Okay, because every day Satanists teach the Bible, and it's written where these people are given the little clues about what it means and so on and so forth. Every day they give me a hard time about it. They mock me over this Bible. The Bible is by Bel, it's by Set, it's by rapists who use it to confuse people. Think about how dumb females are, generally speaking, with all due respect, ladies do. Okay, how dumb they are already. Airheads, gold diggers, ditzy, silly, goofy, slutty, cheesy, corny, shallow, what have you. And they made this book complicated for a bunch of decrepit scientific poets to abuse everybody. A bunch of child rapists, a bunch of pederasty trash. I despise the Bible. I despise when they say things like this. Because who are they saying them to? They saying it to only other poets? Or to the masses of the people they intend to trick with their money hoarding, despicable churches, their rape cult, filthy churches? I despise Christianity. And how many Christians, so-called Christians, are working for the state? And they basically may as well be called Christians because there's so many of them, okay, that a decent person doesn't want to share the same label as they do. How dare they interrupt me in my videos? They don't even know to not do that. I will never call myself a Christian ever again. That was a minor mistake I made back when I was younger, and it has to do with communication and how do you explain what you are. Okay, it goes without saying I'm not the same as these weirdos in church and their pathetic congregations. All right, anyway, where was I? All right. The way of an eagle in the sky, the way of a snake on a rock, the way of a ship on the high seas, and the way of a man with a young woman. This is the way of an adulterous woman. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, "I've done nothing wrong." Okay, so again, obviously, these people, God allowed them to live, and they think that cheating at me out of my right to lead isn't wrong. Everything else is kind of superficial. It all starts, the essence of cheating God and rebellion against God is cheating me out of my right to lead. If you don't know that, you're an idiot. I've explained it a million times over. Watch the Proverbs series again and again, and you'll eventually get it. All right. Under three things the earth trembles, under four it cannot bear up: a servant who becomes king, a godless fool who gets plenty to eat, a contemptible woman who gets married, and a servant who displaces her mistress. A contemptible woman who gets married. It says the earth cannot bear. Again, it says four things on earth. Excuse me. Well, it's over here. Under three things the earth trembles, under four it cannot bear up. A servant who becomes king, right? People who aren't truly martial artists who become leaders. Okay. A contemptible woman who gets married. Okay, is another one. A godless fool who gets plenty to eat. A servant who displaces his mistress. So it's saying the divine order. Okay, and they're refuting me and causing me to read it out of order so they can say stupid ass shit. Well, if he's talking about the divine order, he didn't even read that sentence in order. Bitch, shut the fuck up. I'm the top martial artist. It is not your place to seek to correct me. If I want your pathetic subhuman opinion, I'll ask for it. Who would have thought? That's a novel idea. Fucking idiots. Let's face it, a bunch of racists left Africa. They started looking different than black Africans, and they come back like we're better than you. Okay, if that's the case, Narmesh said to them, and let's see in single combat. They lost by far, and they've been acting like bitches even more ever since. That's human history, whether you like it or not. Anyway, 4 things on earth are small, yet they are extremely wise. Ants are creatures of little strength, yet they store up their food in the summer. Hyraxes are creatures of little power, yet they make their home in crags. Locusts have no king, yet they advance together in ranks. A lizard can be caught with the hand, yet it can be found. It is found in kings' palaces. There are 3 things that are stately in the stride, 4 that move with stately bearing. Completely racist whites, Jews, and LGBT people who are wealthy think that if they can mess up how I look and walk, then it makes them look good. How did they pass first grade? A lion among beasts who retreats before nothing. A strutting rooster, a he-goat, and a king secure against revolt. If you play the fool and exalt yourself, or if you plan evil, clap your hand over your mouth. For as churning cream produces butter, and as twisting the nose produces blood, so stirring up anger produces strife. If you have interfered, okay, your mouth can stand for your actions. If you have interfered with God's work, kill yourself. It is better that you die than you continue to build up punishment in the afterlife. If you interfere with God's work, okay, and you don't have the speck of a chance to obey God through me and redeem yourself, just kill yourself. This isn't rocket science here. Anyone who thinks I'm wrong for saying that's a dumbass. This is a lawless planet where the lowest forms of life control the law and enforce the law. The law of the land, the law of the devil. Satan is the god of this world. They enforce the law of the land. Again, Satan is the god of the land, the material world, in that sense. And they enforce the material world in that sense. If you work for law enforcement, the government, the military, intelligence agencies, and you have no intention of obeying God through me, kill yourself immediately. It's the least you can do. Your first order is obey God through me. If you can't do that, at least kill yourself. If you disobey both those orders, you're headed for an eternity of shit. Know that. For those who don't understand, I'm part black and part white. I can say whatever I want about the white race, okay? And it's not technically racist. Secondly, okay, what I'm saying is the truth. Thirdly, they're provoking me. Okay, those who provoke and stir up strife can then turn around and complain when they started a racial argument. You basically say, we're not going to take you seriously, and they call me racial names every day because I'm black. Okay? While they are the people who did the world the most wrong by far. And every day you see in the news and in the comments, bitch-ass motherfuckers pretend that what's wrong with America is black people. Who governs America? All black people? No.